Hi, I'm Steve McCord, Cattaraugus County Director of Veteran Services, and this is Our Veterans, Their Stories, preserving our heroes' stories, one story at a time.
I was in the Army. I went in the Army Air Corps.
Army Air Corps, okay.
I went in the Army and then I was put in the Air Corps. It was all one group. The first thing I did is I went to school.
You okay?
I had, during when I was 18, I got out of high school and I worked in a machine shop.
Okay.
And it seems very few people had mechanical experience of that type. So they immediately, first I had to have I had to go in the Army to be broke in, I guess is what you call it. You had so many, just go, learn to take orders and all that. They had so many weeks, I've forgotten how many, and I was fortunate. I was assigned to Miami Beach. So we played our basic in Miami, and when it was over, we all just were worried which way we were going to go. And it was up to them to decide.
Yes.
And so I got my orders, and I was to go to Chinook Field, Illinois, where they had a they had a mechanic. You became a mechanic, and I can't remember all these things. You had a course in on teletype. And the teletype, that was so many weeks. When the course in that teletype was over, we all decided, well, where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? And we got our orders, and I was decided, I didn't decide, but I received my orders to go to another school. So I was fortunate. In the meantime, every course I was in, most of them were back in the Army going to Europe. Things were pretty hot out there.
Yes.
And after I got the next course, the course was how to take care of the machines that encoded.
The encryption machines.
So then there was just 6 or 8 of us went to the coding machine. And the encoding machine was in Arlington, Virginia. It was in a girls' school. They'd taken over and made it into these courses. And when the courses got finished, I was assigned to Arlington, Virginia. No, I was assigned to Newark, New Jersey, and I was. They had airplanes from different going to different cities, and they had to have a crew notify the city ahead of time it was coming, and everybody it wasn't an enemy aircraft. And this so I worked a shift taking care of this, notifying what plane was coming and when it was coming, and all this, so they wouldn't get shot down. And I worked there. Well, I took the evening shift. Nobody wanted that shift. They wanted to go into the city, hi-ho, get drunk.
Right.
And so, not being one of the crew, I jumped over the fence in Arlington, and there was a company there that made and get me into things I haven't thought about for years. They made steel welding rod.
Oh, okay.
Two others decided to go with me, and so we hopped over the fence and went over, and yeah, they'd hire us if we'd get permission. So we got permission. As long as we worked the minute that, we could use this during the day. And the other two boys got loading steel rod in boxes, and by the time they were done, they were worn out. I was assigned to do the anyway, it was in the office.
Okay.
Doing one of the office routines, and I made out all right there. And then I got assigned to the Pentagon.
The Pentagon?
So I went down to the Pentagon. And I was down there, and I was in the office doing maintenance work on these machines that they, up the other place I wasn't, but I was doing a maintenance work on. And I was there about a year, and they, I guess now, I'm being a little rough.
That's okay. That's okay.
And after about a year, the captain in charge of the place said, interviewed me one day and said, you know, you haven't been promoted at all since everybody else around here's gotten promoted. I think it's your time you got promoted. And I said, well, I'm not a career person. It's up to you. I just do my job. That's good enough for me. And so in those days, they had a card like this, and you shoot a rod in the card, and you lift it up, and you get all the people that were of this particular type in with that rod. And you'd slip another, if you wanted another person, you'd slip that in there, and then you'd get the people they were.
Okay.
Well, they suddenly discovered that he puts it in, pulled it up, and I wasn't there. So it seems the people that were doing encoding machines
Right.
weren't used in the United States. They were used outside. And since this was wrong, I got put in these jobs because I hadn't been coded right, and I didn't know it, and they didn't know it. And so it was around Thanksgiving, and there was a storm across the United States. It shut down the whole country. And I got on a train, the last train into Texas. And they arrived. I arrived, and now I can't remember what part of Texas. They had another army. It was another army.
They have a couple in Texas. They have Fort Hood. They have
Yeah.
Fort Bliss.
It was somewhere around there.
Okay.
And I was there 2 days, and I was headed for California. And I bumped a general to get on the plane because I was due out. And I got there, and here were the 7 or 8 boys that I had been acquainted with. They'd been sent, and they went to Iwo Jima and all the different islands that they were fighting in. And they had to be on the ground to get the planes in without the enemy being aware of what we were saying or when they were coming or any of that stuff. And we were due the 3rd day when they invaded. We were all these other guys, each one of them took another guy and put him out there. And I was sent to Hawaii to get the next job, and it turns out they were getting ready to invade Japan.
Okay.
And I was assigned to that. And the Japanese invasion didn't come off, and I was blessed because they're a mean bunch, especially if you're getting their homeland.
Yes.
And so then we had to sit around there a while. Nothing you could do till the invasion came.
Right.
And you could they had a guy that came at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and anybody that wanted to go to work, hop on the truck, and they'd take you to the pier, and they'd take these boats and put them in dry dock, and all the barnacles had to be scraped off of the shell. So your job was to scrape barnacles off of the shell.
But was that hard work?
So I kept busy that way. They had me during the day. I was on one of the crews that had to take care of the planes that were coming in and all that stuff. But I managed to get by, and then the war was over, and here I am. And I arrived back home in Great Valley. If you're interested in a little further down, seems everybody wanted to go to college. And I was just one of them. And I decided to, there were some kids from Salamanca that went to Syracuse, so I decided to try Syracuse.
Okay.
So I went up to Syracuse to be interviewed. And when I went in to the office, there were applications filed that were this deep in the whole office. All you could do was a little walk
Wow.
through. They were really interested. And they said to me, well, they interviewed me and they said, what were you in high school? And I said, well, I guess I was third. And they said, well, you can get in. If you were third, you ought to be able to get into Syracuse because they only taking the top ones.
Right.
And they said, well, what quarter were you? They used another name for it. What quarter were you? And I said, well, I don't know. There was only 3 in the class, and I was third, so I guess I was in the quarter.
There you go.
They said, oh dear, you can't get in. Forget it. We got people here that are better than you. I said, well, don't get excited. And I pulled out a sheet of paper, and it seems when the high school was over, I was going to college. I didn't care about the Army or anything else. And I wrote to Syracuse, and they said, send me your paperwork, and we'll look it over. So they sent me back this little slip that said, you're accepted. If you give me $5, you're enrolled. So I showed them that $5. I'd written to all the colleges all around Syracuse. I'd written to Cornell, Buffalo, all the rest of them around there. And so they said, well, you've got this slip, you're enrolled.
Nice, nice. Did you use your GI Bill to pay for it?
Pardon?
Did you use the GI Bill to pay for Syracuse?
No, I didn't get that.
The GI Bill. Did you use that?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's the reason everybody was stacked up. They were all getting the GI Bill.
Okay, okay.
And so I didn't know what to take. So I took engineering because there was something to that.
Yes,
I didn't know too much about liberal arts or fine arts or any of that stuff. I figured the kids that were going with me up to the college were learning to play the piano. Well, I didn't think you make a living playing piano very well. So I took engineering, and they were working like mad to get through engineering, and I went through, well, we'll get it over with. I went through 4 years of engineering in 3 years.
Impressive.
And I come out cum laude, which is B. And the good Lord was good to me.
Oh, nice.
And I know Then I went to, I got married in the meantime, and my wife was from Washington. And during the war, she'd gone to Washington to work. All the girls were going down there to do the paperwork. And I got a job in CIA. Well, that's pretty nice, except I didn't have any memory. And you can't do much there. They don't give it to you in writing what you do. That's one thing. So I decided to skip that, and I found a job in Long Island. And I was there quite some time, 12 years or something like that. And I was in engineering, but I wasn't into sitting down and drawing stuff. When they had a problem, they'd send me out.
Okay.
And I had to solve the problem.
I'm sure you did very well doing that, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that went on, and we had a good time there. I always solved the problem. And if I solved the problem, why, everybody's happy.
Well, Mr. Pelton, thank you for sharing your time with us here. That was quite the impressive story. And obviously the Army used you very well, putting you into the radios and the encryption and such like that, because you have a sharp mind. You really do. So thank you.
Well, unusual to, when you get old, you like to talk about yourself. You tell about things. I try my best not to, and you're encouraging me to do it.